Hey everybody, this is LP Games, and we are here tonight to do a little bit of something special. As you can see, we have Starfield here. We're going to be adding a game to Season 1. I thought this would be coming out by the time we had somewhere in Season 2, but that didn't happen. We're still in Season 1, so Season 1 is going to be 27 games, with this included. Some things to know about this game, just from me just screwing around with settings and trying to get things to look somewhat acceptable. This game does not have exclusive borderless or exclusive full screen, so the game's only going to run at full screen at your resolution. It doesn't really matter so much for people with, computers built in the last couple of years. If you have an older computer that has maybe like a 2080 Super, maybe 2060 Super or something, you're not going to be able to reduce the window size. So what's going to have to happen is you have to turn on upscaling, which is an AMD thing, right? But you have to have this turned on in order to turn on the render resolution scale that allows you to render down the game resolution. So while you're running the window size at your native resolution, which for me happens to be 4K, I'm actually rendering the game out at about half that. So just above 1440, I guess, is what that would be, I think. So you'll need to mess around with the setting, the render resolution setting, to make it work on your computer, on your system. In addition to that, you will probably also have to mess around with a bunch of these to get them to where you want them to be. So I had this set up to 75. I had scaling at 70, and I had GTAO quality set to, for ambient occlusion, set to high, and I had contact shadow set to high. And while recording and playing on a 2080 Ti, I was getting, and a 3960X or 3900X Ryzen CPU. I was getting about 50 frames per second. I do have the latest drivers. I just actually installed the latest drivers this evening. So the performance in the game might be kind of bad on PC until more things kind of get figured out in terms of how these settings will be the best kind of configuration for these settings. To be honest, they should have had exclusive full screen. Even if it isn't really a thing in DX12, you can still do it and have all this other stuff set in the background. So we'll see how this goes. If we start this up and we're still like below 60, I'm not gonna stop and start again. So whatever the render resolution is, whatever the frame rate is what it is until we get to a point where I can get in and screw with stuff again once we get through the introduction. I did watch a little bit of the introduction just to see the general performance. I didn't get that far there. I watched maybe like 2 minutes of it before I alt F4'd. So as usual, turn off motion blur as well. Film grain is off. And these are the other settings I have set so far. We do have some other stuff to look at though. So we have gameplay. We have difficulty normal, save on pause, 10 minutes. Okay, so this is like that mechanic where after so much time, the next time you go into a menu, it's gonna autosave for you. Gotcha. Interface. So we have damage numbers off. I'm gonna turn this on just because I'm kind of curious. Crosshairs, will do everything else on. Controls. Okay, lots of controls, don't really care about that. Bindings, don't really care about that. Audio. So for audio, voice, we're gonna put 100%, music's down to 75. Effects are down to 6. No, let's put it on 70, I guess. Footsteps, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I'll leave that way. And we actually have an accessibility section here. What do we got? Bethesda, you had one job. None of the, well, let's see. Item rotation, hold and drag. Hold and drag mouse to rotate items and menus. This is not an accessibility option. This is a standard Bethesda option. There are, okay, this is the only accessibility option. These other things are not accessibility options. This is Bethesda trying to score points with some bullshit here. This is the only one that's really a accessibility option. I guess this one too. I guess hold instead of toggle, or toggle instead of hold. But these other ones, you know what to say about subtitles every time. Subtitles are not an accessibility option. They are a gameplay option. They do not belong in an accessibility menu. If you are a game developer and you're considering putting subtitles in your accessibility menu, do not do it, because that's not what they are. They've existed in games for 25 years, and they, in those 25 years, they were never called an accessibility option. And it's not just because accessibility is a new buzzword. It isn't. It's been around forever, as well, longer, in fact. So, no, don't try to score points putting this shit into your accessibility options menu, because people like me are going to kick your ass for it a little bit. This specifically to Bethesda, this is something that's been in all their games, I think, at least since Oblivion, if not before. I don't know why that's in here for. This is like a... So, change hold and drag. Oh, it's click and drag. Okay, I take that back a little bit then. So this is taking their hold and drag to make it a click and a drag. Okay, that's accessibility too. There's only 2 accessibility options here. Everything else... Actually, no, there's 3. I guess we said this one was 2. Okay, so these 2 don't belong. These ones do. Alright. We have solved the problem here. Still, this is bullcrap. These shouldn't be here. They should either be underneath gameplay or audio, one of the 2. Usually they're underneath gameplay, though. Alright, so those are the settings. The mileage may vary on the display stuff. You'll have to figure it out for your system. My system is not an average system by any stretch of the imagination. So your mileage will greatly vary, probably, with those settings. Alright, let's go ahead and start it up and see what we get. I'm looking forward to the mods that will just fix all the UI crap, because we all know, anybody that's played Bethesda games, actually before we start we're going to talk about some other things too. Bethesda is well known for having really bad UI. Well, not really bad UI. Like, Skyrim's default UI is okay, but Sky UI is so much better. And I'm expecting the same thing to happen with Starfield, because Bethesda is Bethesda. Bethesda making a new IP after the last 25 years of making Elder Scrolls and Fallout is not going to suddenly magically, even though Todd Howard loves to use the word magic, it's not going to magically make them a less shitty developer in terms of like their general design principles. And people think that it will are kidding themselves. This is going to be a Bethesda game. There's going to be lots of Bethesda jank in this game. I'm going to list off a bunch of things right now that we're going to look for that are common to Bethesda games. Lots of small bugs. Lots of NPCs falling through things. Not as like a bug thing, but just because, when NPCs fall down, they take damage in Bethesda games. They kind of go into this kneeling position. And when they do that, they end up flipping through things. So I'm expecting to see some of that. We're going to see a lot of, not in like the main areas, but if you go off the beaten path a little bit, we're going to see a lot of mapping errors, like seams and maps. We're going to see map elements placed in weird ways, maybe rotated the wrong direction. You can see through them because they're rotated so the undrawn section is facing outward instead of inward. We're going to see a lot of jank navigational UI. If there are companions in this game, we're going to see that they will at some point not be able to follow us, and they'll probably end up teleporting around to come back within range of us after we get so far, if we find any mountainous areas. There's probably going to be a lot of loading screens. Because of the way that Bethesda's games work with the cell load structure. It means that whenever you go into a building or any kind of large structure, usually, it means that you're loading into a new map. Let's see what else we're gonna find. Attack animations, if you have like melee weapons, are probably gonna look a little bit weird because they always do. And that actually goes for any game. There's almost no game that does melee weapon animations correctly in first person. What else will we see in a new Bethesda game? That's all I can think of right now. That was like, what, 8 or 9 things? You keep track of those, and let's see how many of them we actually find while we're doing this. We're going to play this for probably 2 hours, I think. That'll put me up. It's going to put me at 1:30 a.m. Yeah, that is what it is. That should be fine. Because I want to give this time, because Bethesda games take a little bit of time to. That's the other thing. There's going to be, the introduction will be really long, and like the hook into the story will be a little ways down. I may not even get to it tonight. Bethesda games notorious for bearing the lead quite far into the beginning of the game. So we'll see what happens there. And also another thing that we'll probably run into some performance issues, because that's always a problem with Bethesda's games. So yeah. Let's go ahead and hit new. Or wait, now, what do I expect? What am I expecting here? So, expectations are that the planets that we're on are at least as explorable as like Fallout 4 or Skyrim, because that's like the standard Bethesda template. I'm not sure about space flight. I'm actually very skeptical about space flight. They showed some stuff on one of the directs that they did, but it was extremely limited. They didn't show much outside of what they were showing. Like, there was no kind of like freeform travel around in space. So I'm super skeptical that that's actually going to be freedom of movement. I think what it's going to be is very localized, and then you'll have like some way to go to another system somehow. I don't think we're going to have free range of movement out in space to the extent that people maybe think that we will. But we'll see. But I do think that on the planets we'll have traditional Bethesda sort of open world gameplay. And really, I'm expecting this to feel a lot like not to say it should be or will be No Man's Sky, but I expect this to feel a lot like No Man's Sky. So like we can get into a ship, go fly around a planet. There's like probably be some deep level, deep crafting system. This game does have more focus on combat though than No Man's Sky does. So we're going to have a deeper battle system than No Man's Sky does by far. It's probably going to be a little bit more like Fallout without like the Pip-Boy stuff. Not going to have like the targeting thing, but we'll have like a similar sort of gunplay, I think, to Fallout style game. And then all the other Bethesda trappings that you usually get in these kind of games, like weight limits and all that kind of stuff. Equipment will be able to be having some kind of buff supply to it at some point. General Bethesda gameplay stuff, because this game is going to have a lot of that. I don't believe for a second that they're going to deviate from what they've done for the last 20 years. Story-wise, game world-wise, maybe. Game mechanics, no. Bethesda doesn't do non-Bethesda things. But we'll see. Maybe they will surprise me. So, this game is a first/third. I said third. Well, it's kind of third. It's a first to third person RPG. Action character, maybe not character action RPG, but definitely a character RPG kind of thing. Not like a hard RPG like, say, Baldur's Gate 3 is, but it's a more it's more vanilla flavored RPG, right? your more standard kind of Western RPG, based on kind of standard RPG mechanics. You're not necessarily rolling for things and stuff like that, like with D&D style stuff like Baldur's Gate 3, but you do have, like, you know, general... God, it's so hard to say, not say Bethesda style gameplay when you're talking about a Bethesda game, because it's just, you know, it's the only way to really explain it. Bethesda games have their own kind of game mechanic signatures. And they're very always that kind of game. I will frankly be very surprised if this is not a Bethesda game. But yeah, so gameplay mechanics, in terms of like how things work, do they function correctly, do they make sense, and level design, area design, how well that's situated, does it make sense how you're supposed to move through it, how you can move through it. How much of a Bethesda game is this? Did we actually have an open world? Is it actually limited? Did they pull one over on us and it's actually extremely limited? I don't know. We're gonna find out. Then second one down is going to be story, because Bethesda games usually have pretty good stories. And then I think the third rung down will be audio, because usually Bethesda games have pretty good audio. That's what I'm looking for. I don't really care so much about the graphics, because the graphics don't make the game, and frankly Bethesda games usually don't have the best textures, the best quality graphics, which is why there's 1,000,000,001 mods that actually, you know, put in high quality stuff into Bethesda games. So I'm expecting, you know, this to be a Bethesda game. But we shall see. Alright, let's go and start. So this kind of opens up the same way most Bethesda games do. You're kind of going to some place or someplace with other people, and you're kind of being ushered through a series of events. Again, remember, I've watched the first, like, 2-ish minutes of this already, so I kind of already know some of this. Things that we're looking at, and I know that they're a little bit un-Bethesda-like. Just a little bit. Soul date, May 7th, 2330. So this is the 24th century. Argos starts responding outpost, moon of Vectera. Okay. I will say there's something wrong with the color balancing is weird. Oh wow, we're down to 50 again. 56.
Seals are good.
53.
Good. Just do what you did last time, and you're fine. Follow my one simple rule. Hella, what's my one simple rule?
Listen to Lynn. Boss lady knows best.
Exactly. Listen to me. Mining's just.
We'll see if we
like
can fix
any
the
other job.
FPS.
Go steady.
It's gonna be
Go
a chunky
safe.
for you though.
Go home with a pocket full of credits at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah, you
just
can see like the.
Yeah, I work in the Stardock, except with more cave-ins, lasers, and accidental dismemberments.
So, like, pay attention to like the grayness. We'll talk about it after the scene.
You're gonna be fine. Your first outing was solid. And, you know, let's be honest, it ain't exactly astrophysics.
I mean, it kind of
That's
is.
why I keep him around. Good pep talks.
Yeah, and the fact that I can pinpoint a helium deposit from 300 meters.
Not untrue. A shame we won't find any down here. But the metal deposits alone should pay for our own helium. Hell, after this, we'll have enough jump fuel to bounce from one end of the settled systems to the next.
Hey, more minerals, more money. And so the cycle repeats itself. Just no more unauthorized jumps in the house for rune space, okay?
He's just a big baby. There are worse lives. You know, most Dusties don't even make it this far. I have a good
Dusties.
feeling about you.
Group hug now or at the end of the shift?
One of these days, Hella, I am going to leave you behind.
Promises, promises.
Yeah, so we're locked in place at the moment. Okay, some kind of thing. There we go.
Okay.
Alright, let's see if we can get this thing to actually be playable and look okay. I'll put this down to 50. We're going to take reflections down to medium. Volumetric lighting down to medium. And we'll see how that goes.
See what we've got.
Okay, there we go. We're at 60 now.
A little longer. Grab some samples?
Always. But not you.
Well, not anymore.
Make sure she eases up on the breach. I don't feel like getting buried alive today.
So it's literally having no effect, right? We're still at 50 FPS.
Keep your breathing steady.
It's not a load issue. My GPU is at 6, CPU is at 40. Let's see. You can't drop this any lower than 50. Let me turn this back up. Turn down indirect lighting. Volumetric, crowd density.
Because God forbid we drill on a rock with breathable atmosphere.
Know what I love about working in Freestar Collective space? Fewer regs. A job like this in the United Colonies? Huh. Reams of red tape.
It's like having no effect whatsoever. I think there's a bug with the display settings. I'm putting everything down to medium. We'll put shadows down to low. If this doesn't cause this to not go to 60, then there's definitely some bugs with the display settings. No, we're still at 52. There's absolutely no change. Yeah, a lot of these settings are not doing a damn thing. Okay, well there's our first major bug there. The display settings are not doing a damn thing. If I put the resolution up high, what happens? I'm betting that these don't even do anything, to be honest. I put the render resolution to 100 and it's at 50 FPS. That's literally what we were just getting. It's down a little bit more, but barely had any impact whatsoever. So yeah, I think that the graphics, the display settings, don't do a goddamn thing. I think they're all broken. Which is not surprising to me at all. Okay, that one had a little bit of an impact. No, never mind. It went down to 44 for a second, but now we're back up to 48. So there's no change. It's what it was. What in the hell is going on with this game? Alright, I'm putting everything to low. And we're down to 50 FPS. Yeah, so the settings don't do a damn thing. Actually, they might do something. Does something, because actually there is a difference. We're up to 40. We're up to 53 to 54. 56. So one of these settings is doing something. The rest are doing jack. Unless the performance differences in the settings actually don't matter, and the game just has really shit performance overall. Well, it's not really shit, but it doesn't run as good as it should be with the at low right here. If this is at low with VSync off, I should be running this game at like 1 billion frames a second. And I'm not. It's literally... OBS is still at 52 frames. I wonder if this is OB. Let me try something. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see what happens here. Nope, changing the priority didn't matter at all. Give me one more minute, or one more second here. We are back again. Okay. So, I did a little bit of Googling and searching around. It turns out that probably the display settings are completely broken and don't do anything. I am running this on 75% render scale with everything on ultra right now, VSync off, and I'm getting the same performance as if it's on low. I put everything to low and same exact performance. The one things I was trying to see if I could do, so on there are certain times when you can set an affinity, the affinity and the priority of an application. So the priority of the application in Task Manager allows you to set the resource priority. So should it get resources it needs in real time, should it have a high priority, medium, normal priority, should the things have the ability to take resources from that software and use it for themselves, kind of thing. And then Affinity allows you to set the processors that the application can run on. So I tried limiting OBS to 6 cores of my CPU and let, I almost said Skyrim, let Starfield have the other 18. And the performance was just as bad. Or just, it didn't change at all. In fact, it actually got a bit worse because OBS started to chug more in terms of the output of the file. So there was some over buffering going on. And then, in addition to that, Starfield started to chug a bit too, for whatever reason. I guess because it wants to run on every core that you have. If you try to limit the cores it can run on, it throws a shit fit. So what this is going to mean is that the footage you're watching on YouTube is going to be... There's going to be some stutter stuff going on. That's not what's actually happening. It's just because the game performance is such that when you're recording it, as well as playing it, at least on my system, the rendered footage out of OBS, or saved footage out of OBS, recorded footage out of OBS, has some fairly large stutters in it. And there's nothing I can do about that because all the things that we have here to make the game run better don't work. Or don't work as well as they should. Like if I put this down to low, if I put this down to high, I bring everything else down to high instead of ultra. Lessen the sharpening down to like 30. Put the render resolution down to like 60. So if I do this, what should happen is, let me turn up variable rate shading. What should happen is that the game should run like gangbusters, because turning off a lot of things that would otherwise make it harder to run. And right now we're at 48 to 50 FPS, where we've been for the last however long. So yeah, as you can see, like the moments where there's like a little bit of a hitch, where the video just stops, like right there, and right there. You're gonna get that all over the place in the footage on YouTube. I'm not seeing that. It's just the game being the game. I expected to run into something like this because this is literally day 1 of the game's release, so we'll just have to deal with it. This is kind of... It's probably because I have the... Wow, what the hell? But you guys stop with the lights? Because I'm trying to look at something here. So how about you... I'm actually interested to see what happens if we turn this up a little bit. Display... No, yeah, see, this thing here doesn't have a light source on it. I mean, it does, but the actual thing does not have a light source in here. There's no light emitting texture on this. So what you're seeing is a point spotlight that's just pointing off and generating this beam here, but you don't actually see this lit up like these other ones over here. Actually, that's the same thing with these too. Wow. The reason I noticed this is because this is how you had to do lights in Source. If you're making a Source mod for Half-Life 2, this is how lights were done, right? You had a model, and you had to put in a point spotlight to have a light beam coming from it. Then you would put another general volumetric light there to actually generate the light around the object. And then maybe you would also have a texture that would have light emittance on it to make the light elements glow. That's interesting. I'm not going to mark down for that, but I just think it's interesting, isn't it? That an engine that this game is. Look at this thing over here. Look at this thing. There's like nothing there. It's like turned off. This should not be emitting light because there's literally no light coming off of this thing aside from the point spotlight here. At least these ones look. That one's off center. Like this one's on center, that one's off center. But at least these ones kind of seem like they would be emitting light because they look like they're turned on. These are just, you know, like this one doesn't even have a. Look at this. This one doesn't even have a point spotlight on it, right? And it's turned off. Looks exactly the same as these other ones. The reason this looks like it's turned on from back here is just because it's the point spotlight is like there's like I think it's like ambient occlusion or something. It's like essentially lighting up the things behind it because you're looking through this over here through the point spotlight. So it looks like it's lit up, but it's not really. But yeah, this is like really. They could have made this map in Hammer. I mean, I know they didn't, but they could have. So for those who don't know what Source is the engine that runs Half-Life 2 that came out in 2005. Hammer is the mapping engine for Source, and yeah. I mean, at least the ground textures look okay. I don't have a flashlight. Why don't I have a flashlight? This individual is busy. What the hell? Okay, we can't talk to him. Can't talk to Lynn.
Yeah, be glad when we're off this rock. You take care of yourself out there.
It's weird that we can't just talk to them, right? Whoa. That guy just literally almost killed people.
This one over here. Calvert! No! No. It's a laser, not a sledgehammer. Ease up. Benning, if you got paid per break, you'd be a millionaire. Let's go.
Paid per break. This guy literally just almost killed people with that laser.
You make your cut, you get your cut. No exceptions. Come on, pick it up.
You make your cut. You get your cut.
Minimal at this point. Occasional glimmer, but it's weak.
What do you think? Stay the course?
No, ma'am. Juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Well, okay then. Let's call this one tapped. Why don't you move over to that big vein we looked at?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't I have the ability to turn on my suit flashlight? Where is that? So, what I was mentioning before, now that I actually remembered it, so if you look at the colors, right? There's this weird, like, gray film over the blacks. Like the black color depth colors. Well, I should say more grayish, not totally black. Like if we're looking back over here, where you'd expect to see black back here, it's actually just like this grayish, brownish color, right? It's very strange. Like, it's like they don't have the color correction done correctly. Well, it's not really color correction, but they don't have the color balancing done right. Everything is kind of color balanced to look like a Hollywood movie. So one of the things that Hollywood does to make things look realistic is they add a gray film on top of everything. Because for some reason, making things look drab and gray makes them look real, because I guess Hollywood thinks that everyone's general lives suck shit or something. And it's always overcast and cloudy. I don't like the fact that we're seeing this here. Because that is not adding any kind of realism. It could just be because we're underground in a mine, so there's like a lot of particulates in the air. There could be a reason for it here, right? It would maybe make sense here. Because there's like all these machines digging up crap and throwing stuff in the air. In terms of the grayness, not in terms of like there not being any kind of real deep blacks. It's like the black colors are crushed, is what they're called. There's not really a lot of color depth. Are you supposed to go down here? I don't know what I did. Somehow I got the health bar to show. When I was screwing around trying to get the game to run properly.
How'd they sucker you to join? Fall for the fancy pamphlets?
I'm busy.
Who was talking just now? Which one of you is talking right now?
Busy.
That guy tried to kill me. Yeah, these guys are like trying to kill me with their damn lasers. It's hilarious. I think it was this NPC.
Lynn sure seems to like you.
Yeah.
She would know, being the boss and all.
I don't know why. She reminds, that voice actress reminds me of Jennifer Hale a little bit. A little bit. I know it's not, though. If Jennifer Hale was in this game, she wouldn't be a random miner. Some dank asteroid. Oh, we need to come over here. Cutter crate. So we gotta pick up a cutter. So it's heavy, 4 energy, ammo, cutter, magazine, empty, round 0, fire rate 76, range, accuracy, mass, value, mods. What's all this stuff that just like popped onto the ground down here? So left mouse button to fire.
What are you waiting for? Dig.
Dig where? Here? Oh, in here. Okay, I don't like the fact that we don't have a compass. Okay, so this is like a pickaxe, except space pickaxe. Beryllium added, beryllium added. Does it show you how much beryllium you get? Or does it say beryllium added? I didn't see. This is beryllium added. How do I get to the inventory? Apparently you don't, because it's hidden behind... we'll talk about it in the game mechanics. I kind of hate when games do this, where they lock things until you can have a tutorial on them.
They're ready for us. Get back up here.
Like, I should be able to go into the inventory right now.
Just trying to get through my shift.
But I can't.
Come on, it's time. You're with me.
Alright, we did a little bit of mining, so let's go see what's going on.
And here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Where was the explosion? Expected there to be a boom. There was no boom. Let's see what the game does if I go somewhere we're not supposed to go. Haha. I just stole your thing, Troy. What you gonna do about it?
This has been a good run. You lucked out being picked up for this one.
Can't see shit, Captain.
I'm working.
Unless it's only giving us like 1 beryllium per thing we're blown up. In which case, I mean, that's not that interesting. It's not the way it's supposed to work, because it's not like... Usually in Bethesda games, you get like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 sometimes. I mean, it's like you hit it, you get it, you keep mining it, you get it. It's not a one and done thing, right? Literally cannot see shit.
Got somewhere else to be.
Our girls usually ain't so good at picking sites. Oh, this time, like a miracle.
I'm getting all the beryllium before I move on here. God tried to kill me again. Swear to God. NPCs are homicidal in this game. Like, you stole my beryllium, I'm gonna shoot you with this laser. Like, where the hell is my flashlight at? Again, it's because the tutorial hasn't popped up yet, so you don't have it till the tutorial comes around. It's the most contrived and stupid modern thing in games, that you don't have a thing until you get a tutorial for it. Even though you clearly have it on you, because the tutorial wouldn't make sense if you didn't have it. So you have it, you just can't use it, because the game's like, you're too stupid to know how to use it. Hate that shit. With a passion. It's lazy game development.
We're getting close, I think. Yeah, everything is just... Lynn, seriously, there's something really effed up about this.
Where is it, Hella?
Through there, I think.
What are we even looking for?
Okay, you're up. Something goes wrong in there, we'll come get you.
Why would anything go wrong?
Would you shut up? Both of you do your jobs. Client is on his way.
Oh good, I'm stuck here now. Thank you, Bethesda. Oh, there we go. I don't think that's a bottomless pit, but it could be. Is it a hold? What? Why would you have to hold to turn the flashlight on? Wait a second. Okay, that's a stupid... That's a brain dead. Whoever came up with that's brain dead. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. You have to hold the flashlight button to turn it on. There's some really stupid decisions that have been made here. I'm just going to come out and say that right now. One, these areas are not lit at all. I mean, it kind of makes sense you're in a cave, fine, sure. That's like a conceit of that, but you should have the ability to use the flashlight from the beginning, and the flashlight should be a press to enable, not a hold to enable. I don't give a crap what their rationale is. It's stupid and does not make any logical sense whatsoever. It's kind of interesting how the flashlight goes just a certain distance, right? It doesn't have like an unlimited beam. I kind of like that. Like it has a distance at which you get out far enough as a radius of like the light cone that it doesn't actually impart any elimination, which is realistic. I think in a lot of games, that's actually something new. Neodymium, okay. This is the stuff they make really strong magnets out of. Jumping seems to be broken in certain circumstances. Oh, well, that's a lot of neodymium down here. So this is why you need to go searching in Bethesda games, because they hide stuff all over the place. As much as Bethesda has some really cringe crap that they do with their game development stuff, one thing they do really well, really good, is rewarding the player for exploring. So it's always the correct thing to do to explore in a Bethesda game. And make sure you search every friggin' where. Is there something up there in that small... No, it's just a piece of rock. So the fact that we're getting these resources, I think, means that there's always some level of crafting in Bethesda games. So we at least have a crafting system of some kind. That's probably a usual style of Bethesda crafting system. But usually Bethesda's crafting systems are not that deep in terms of like the mechanics and how they actually work. Usually. I forget what Fallout 4 had for crafting, but like Skyrim's crafting system is fairly basic compared to something like No Man's Sky. Then again, Skyrim is a much less complex universe, if you will. You know, it's kind of medieval European sort of world, whereas, you know, No Man's Sky is space age, so there would be less... I guess that's a good thing. I mean, like, what kind of weird gravity readings? Like no gravity or more gravity? Because that's very important to know, Heller. If you're getting gravity readings that indicate that we're getting more gravity, then, you know, that could be a problem because you could get crushed. If it's less gravity, that's fine. Because then we'd just be floating around. But more gravity is not fine. It's very important to know what weird means. So it seems like, at least for here, beryllium's a really common resource. Maybe there's like beryllium mines or something, I don't know.
Do you see anything?
What are these like cocoon looking things? Whoa. Okay, found the quick slot on Q. What are these? Not mineable, that's what they are. That was weird. Do you have to be a certain distance for these things? I don't think you do. Do you? Wait, what was that? Calamite? Calamite? Calamite. Okay. Damn, that thing takes forever to mine. I wonder if this thing can overload. Because it starts making a lot more noise as you get closer to 0. kind of interesting ore deposits. Definitely, I don't think they're terrestrial. They seem to be part of like an asteroid or something. I guess they could be terrestrial. Okay, it just shuts off. I've played enough Bethesda games to know that you want to pick up everything you can. This stuff isn't here just to be here, you know? They're allowing you to pick it up for a reason. It seems kind of random how these things break, because it seems like sometimes they take longer than others. Some of these take longer than others do for some reason. I guess because we're not targeting the right specific point that we need to make these pop fast. Which is kind of annoying. I've got a few up here. Explore the cavern, break up the deposits. Ah, so we're doing the Protheaned thing, huh?
Come on. Okay, take it easy. You were out cold. No physical damage. Mentally, the jury's still out. You know who you are? New recruit for Argos Extractors? Ring any bells? Any of this look familiar?
Okay, so we get to create our character now. I don't really care about this because when we come back to play this again, I'm going to be making a whole new character. So it's going to keep the default stuff because I have to choose a background. So, Beast Hunter. Oh, we got a bunch of things over here. Okay, so file not found. A Ronin. Yes. And I guess we have to do 3 traits. Kid stuff, what the hell? Neon Street Rats. United Colonies Native. Terra Firma. Interesting. Wanted. Hero worship, what the hell? Oh god. We're gonna bring Conrad Werner into Starfield. Give you gets. What the hell? Mortgage. So you paid weekly. That's kind of interesting. So if you choose this thing, you essentially are forced to become like either a bounty hunter or like you have to go out and become a treasure hunter of sorts or something. Raised and lighted. full. It's a special chest full of items in the house of the enlightened New Atlantis, but lose access to Sanctum Universum chest. That's a religion trait. Let's see. Grab jumping provides a temporary boost to health and oxygen, but oxygen lowered if don't continue jumping regularly. What the hell? So you become addicted to jumping. That's hilarious. So these are very good thing, bad thing oriented. So they're very kind of balanced that way. I kind of want to see what happens if we do wanted. It had to be done.
Our blade for hire turned dusty. I still got 5 credits saying you assassinated some Ryujin executive. Well, you got the sample. Client's on his way. Then we all get paid. You remember anything that happened?
What the hell? Still $5 that you're an assassin.
Huh. Well, you passed out, that's for sure. Everything else, probably just your brain playing tricks. Either way, we got what we were looking for.
All this trouble for that stupid thing? Huh. Sure don't look like much.
Never mind what it looks like. It's worth more than this mine has pulled in all month. We'll be... Speak of the devil.
Ah, third person, okay.
Constellation contact is on approach.
Wait, the Explorers group? Thought they were kind of a joke.
Not a joke. You're just too young to know better.
Hey, I'm just saying they
You
got a
alright?
reputation. Hell, I bet half the crew here doesn't even believe they really exist.
Got a packet.
Half the
in there
crew
somewhere.
doesn't believe Earth exists, but it's still there. Same with Constellation.
Yeah, but come on. Exploring space? Who does that anymore? Ain't the space we've already got complicated enough?
Not to them, apparently.
Ah, H. I have no clue what I hit, but here we are. Oh, I named myself Conrad Werner. God damn it. That was asking me to name my Stalker fan. Yeah, I Conrad Wernered myself, apparently. Here's the inventory. So I guess it's one deposit to one of these, right? Because I think we blew up 7 of these, but 30 beryllium? Maybe certain resources give you more. I don't think we did 30. Might have. Yeah, it looks like it's not multiple per pile anymore or something. How do we put this down before we shoot somebody? It used to be like R or something.
Fitting in okay?
There we go.
Mining crews ain't the friendliest, but they're good folks.
It seems like the controls are all hold. So I had to hold down R to put the thing away instead of pressing the toggle. So I think they turned all the controls to hold to use, which is stupid as hell. Again, if you're a game developer making a game for computer, Tab to open the data menu. Oh, never mind. We didn't have access to this before, now we do. So what do? I have to go to inventory, helmets. Okay. Press and hold tab to exit. Don't implement hold buttons to make things happen. Like the whole tab to escape the entire menu if I go back through all the specific menus, that's fine. But like having to hold R down to sheath the weapon, nah. That should be a single press to do. Press for action, not hold for action. Hold for action is literally, you know, 2000s game design. Don't do it.
Really? In a discovery class? That ship's older than this moon.
Come on, let's do
Classic. Wait, how can a ship be older than a moon? I know you're just talking bullcrap, but still. Wow, we're down to... I guess it's still the same. I think I'm getting frame drops myself now, though, before I was not getting them, so... Now things are looking a little bit more like they do for you, for me. So who's coming out of this ship? Han Solo? Luke Skywalker? Jar Jar Binks? Palpatine? Gordon Freeman? Kind of looks like Gordon Freeman.
Barret.
Barret? You don't have a gun arm?
Been a long time.
Yes, it has. That mine on Bendy, right?
Kazal, hellhole, like this place. Rare mineral contract. Your tastes are a bit more sophisticated now, huh?
So, you found something?
Right
Bascom.
here. A new guy found it.
That right. And everything went cool? Just like grabbing those minerals on Bendy?
Kazal, and no Barret, not cool. He passed out after the extraction. Woke up saying all kinds of nonsense.
Is that right, cowboy? Went on a trip, huh?
Then the voice acting is a little bit interesting. Like the diction is a little bit stiff. How would you know about that?
That fun, huh? Not the most gentle push into the great mysteries of space, but hey, been there.
Look, just hand over the credits, and I'll be happy to never see this thing.
That's a very Skyrim-ish
ever again.
dialogue system.
That's why I like you, Lynn. All business.
Barret, the scanners on the frontier are reporting a ship coming in hot from orbit.
I really thought I lost them.
Barret?
Holy shit! That's the Crimson Fleet!
Optional grab a weapon.
Okay, stick to cover. Stick to cover.
Wait, how do I... Where are my weapons, damn it? So can you not equip multiple weapons anymore? Oh, be a favorite.
We can take them!
I guess throw a grenade. It's kind of hard to tell who's an enemy. I have to be aimed at this guy to see the enemy health bar.
This is great.
I mean, it doesn't really matter like in Skyrim where there's hardly any allies around you. But there's a lot of allies in this game. Is there like, whoa. There's no, advanced cover system. Like, we can't hug to walls and stuff. I like how the, miners are using the frickin' mining, lasers to fight. Whoa. Okay, enemies have lots of gear. Hey, there's a med pack on that guy. Taking that. So we lost some of our dudes, huh?
This attack better not be coming out of our pay. Of course Barret was being followed. Every time.
Every time, what the hell?
Now that was some fine work under pressure. You dug up the artifact, right? That means you saw it. The visions? You're coming with me to Constellation. You're part of this now. Hey, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but we don't exactly know what the artifact might have done to your head, and Constellation is really the only group qualified to help.
Oh no, Barret. No. You think you're just going to take off after the mess you caused?
All right. I guess I did just put you all on the Crimson Fleet hit list. How about I stay and I send your Dusty here in my place? I know, but he's not some miner anymore, Lynn. Soon as he touched that rock, something changed. Don't tell me you can't feel it.
You become the Dustborn.
It's a deal. Get out of here, Dusty. You're on to bigger things.
No way, not my job.
Don't you get it? You don't have a job here anymore. You're with those explorers now. Like it or not. Just go, alright? Figure out what happened to you when you touched that rock.
Well,
This is
none
weird
of that's
pacing.
settled. Vasco, get him to the lodge. No deviations unless absolutely necessary, okay? Protocol Indigo.
Indigo. Again. Very well.
Oh, and hey, take this. You'll find it very useful out there. And it even tells...
Oh, hey, it's the watch. The like $300, $400 watch that
Hey, look at that. The
Bethesda's
watch fits you
using
perfect.
to steal people's money.
Questions? See, that's the problem with the settled systems. Too easy to take everything for granted. While everyone else is busy playing politics, we're the ones braving the unknown, charting the vastness of space. Without us, the galaxy is just a big room with the lights turned out. That, my friend, is the million-credit question. And Constellation can find the answer with your help.
Don't know what it is. There's something about how this character is, like, the actual, like, character movement during dialogue that's kind of weird.
They're just following the loot, like pirates do. And I have something of a reputation as a loot collector.
I'm sure.
And Vasco, don't let him break my ship.
We're still in one piece. Oh god.
So I picked up a bunch of crap. What did I pick up? So Maelstrom. Oh, okay. So it's a automatic weapon, I guess. What does this do? Problem-solving skills. Research projects require fewer resources for 10 minutes. Oh, that's already on 0, okay. It's kind of a weird mapping to 0.
I'm gonna throw up.
Well, I guess we're just going this way now. Okay. So, like, if you're... So,
The ramp, Captain.
I can't help but compare this to other Bethesda games, because this is a Bethesda game. The intro so far feels a lot less focused than, like, say, a Skyrim or a Fallout 3 or 4.
It appears you are the new captain of the frontier. Captain, Protocol Indigo is in effect. Captain, I'll guide you as best I can.
But I can go where the hell I want to, because I'm the captain now. I'm the captain, see?
Captain, I assume you know how to fly a Class A starship. As Barret
Hell no.
likes to say, it's as easy as learning to ride a bike. I will attempt to boost the shields, just in case there are any difficulties.
Time to boost the shields. I mean, the mechanicalness of things is kind of cool. Right. Like this is like a bulkhead and it's like sealed pneumatically. So that if the I guess if the hold were able to blow out, you would have air pressure in the cabin, the cockpit up here. Shame this stuff in here doesn't move around though. Alright, how does flying work?
Shields ready. The rest is up to you.
Space take, and say get up, take off, exit ship. Interesting. So you actually don't have any terrestrial flight then. That's interesting. That's the first deviation of what I thought there would be. Okay, so we're in space.
Now that we are in orbit, it might be wise to test all controls and systems to ensure they are not...
So you don't have transition from space to the world.
I can step you through the entire process.
I guess that's fine.
Or, if you're already an experienced pilot, just power up all the systems, and we'll be on our way.
Hold left alt, then use WSAD, switch between systems, now look at power. You can skip the tutorial and grab drive. It said left shift, right? Left alt, okay.
Each system on a ship requires power. Allocating power is under your direct control. Let's go over the engines. Engines control our maximum speed. Try increasing and decreasing our relative velocity.
Interesting, so...
A ship's engine has a sweet spot for better handling during turns. Drive your attention to the HUD, you'll notice a speed indicator in the lower left with a gauge that goes up and down as you adjust the throttle.
Oh, over here.
Center the gauge so that it lines up with the center of the vertical bars to its right.
So this.
Boosts can be engaged for temporary bursts of speed.
Okay, so in the middle section of that, you have the most maneuverability. Gotcha.
Let's turn our attention to the shields.
So this has the most maneuverability right now.
Notice more power increases their strength.
So if we do left shift,
From hull damage. Without a hull, they'll be vaporized.
where's the shield strength? Oh, down there.
The lower right. Hull damage is below it.
Okay. So shields are offline, so we have no power. This is kind of insane. But you have the ability to actually modify ship stats by assigning power.
Adequate pilot. Are you familiar with ship combat tactics? Because that's
Oh,
the
shit.
Crimson Fleet ship bringing its weapons to bear. We will need to disable their shields. Laser-based weaponry is particularly effective. Centered on the HUD, we can lock in to fire a homing missile. The enemy shields are down, Captain. Ballistic weaponry excels at damaging the hull once shields are offline.
Wait, what's missile? Oh, missile's G, okay. Okay. Okay, so I see over on the one side is the... Cool. What did I,
Surviving your first starship assault.
Oh, that was a scanner, okay.
We should search the wreckage for spare parts and other salvage. You will need to fly close to it before we can access the remains.
How close? Ah. Okay.
Ships are jumping into our location, Captain.
Good. So we need. Oh, okay, there we go. So red means we have damage to the system, huh?
I'm taking you down.
I wonder if it matters where you shoot them at. Like, if I shoot them in the engines, do I do damage to their engines?
I got the grab drive.
Yeah, we didn't have a lock on. I'm assuming it is. Okay, we got that one.
You're done.
This guy's been a pain in the ass for a while now. I turned off ballistics, right?
Grab drive out. Melt out.
The amount of
All right.
Crimson Fleet hostility has been far more than anticipated. At this rate, the odds of continual assault from their ships are high enough to jeopardize our mission. In short,
Debris field.
they are after the frontier and will not stop. We will need to deal with the local Crimson Fleet captain. A recent scan indicates an abandoned facility on the nearby moon of Crete, a perfect staging area for pirates.
Alright, so how does, say, tabbed open data, star map. Okay, so it's not, so we don't have free range. What is this grab drive? How do we enable it? Maybe we don't. So hull 81%. 16 light years? What does that mean? The range it has, I guess? Travel between stars, zoom out to see entire star system, zoom in again, plot course, selecting star system you want to travel to, jump 7 light years at once. Interesting. Oh, cool. They actually have the gravity well, like, showing that the star is bending space-time down here. That's kind of cool. Where are we supposed to go? Crete. Set course. Yeah, this isn't quite what I thought it would be.
We have arrived in
The way they talked about it was that you had, you know, free roam in space. This is actually just area to area. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just that this is not, you know, what they hyped it up to be. And by they, I mean Bethesda. Press tab so we can open. Didn't we already do this? Rotate the plant until so this is like we're literally doing aspect 2 stuff here. These are all the resources, huh? Okay, so you can't. So everything is done via transition then. Interesting. So you don't. It is not an open world game. It's a wide linear with lots of. So that probably means that on the planet you probably don't have. It's probably not open world on the planet either. It's probably area based. That's definitely not quite how they describe the game to be, in my opinion. Again, by they, I mean Bethesda, not people on Twitter that claim to know what Bethesda's doing.
I'll follow you from here on out, Captain.
Can you at least enter and exit the ship without having to go through the menu? You can, okay. So if you wanted to not use the thing... I got stuck there for a bit. Interesting. What the hell is this thing? Scan creature middle plants. Survey. Credit. This is literally No Man's Sky system. It's a system literally from No Man's Sky. It's not quite the same because you don't name everything, but it's literally you scan everything, you get extra points, extra credits. That's literally No Man's Sky. Oh. How do I scan? E. Oh, we got some roots. Wait, how do I scan this? Why do I have... lead? Let's get lead poisoning. Let's do it. Iron. Silver.
According to the scanners, the abandoned research facility is in this direction.
Some kind of fauna down there. And a weird parasite thing. We got something over here, and so it seems like there's quite a bit of exploration, but it's not an open map. So it's definitely wide linear. Like, you're not gonna get, it's not like a Skyrim-sized map, right? We're getting a lot of hitching here. Or the audio is breaking up. Not sure which. So this is how you tell how good a Bethesda game is. You just start wandering around in an area and see what happens, right? If you just start wandering around and you find all this crazy shit, then you know that it's going to be a good Bethesda game, because that's... Bethesda's strengths are building worlds and have things in them, right? That's why Skyrim is so good. It's because it's a large-scale world that has lots of stuff in it. It's not the best story. It's a pretty good story, but it's not the best story. It's a little bit, you know, Skyrim story is a little bit too MMO-ish for me, where you're just kind of like traveling between 2 points. There's not a lot of connective cutscenes and things. It's mostly just find NPC, talk to NPC, and then thing happens, and you go to the next NPC in the next town, rinse, repeat. There's not a lot of like heavy like story elements in there. It's like an FF16 kind of situation. I like that the resources have this highlight around them, so they're a little bit easier to see. That's a good touch. I wish more games do that. I think this has this because we haven't... why does this say 25% scanned? Oh, because you have to scan multiple of them to get a full scan? Interesting. That's a bit different than No Man's Sky. It does encourage a little bit more exploration, I would assume. I would guess, because you have to go find everything. I wonder if these skyboxes are accurate. Like, are these planets actually what they really are? I would assume they'd have to be, because we can go to those other ones. Or we can leave this planet to see what those look like. What's this stuff? Probably not breakable. Some kind of, like, fungi-looking thing. Actually, not fungi. They're like this stuff. I'm not sure. Maybe coral or something. So we found 4 out of 8 resources. How do we have 61% survey complete? And you really have to like go and find all this stuff. I might say that it's taking too long to fully scan that thing. It should take maybe 5 or 6. I think so far we've interacted with 5 of them. And we're only like at 60 something, so it's probably going to take another 4 or 5. So maybe like we need to find 10 of these. That feels a bit excessive to me. At least there's like they're putting things to find in a lot of places, right? So it's not an empty, barren world with nothing to really do. There isn't a lot of stuff so far. Doesn't necessarily need to be, because it's like the second planet we've been to, but still. I would hope that there'd be a bit more world interaction. Just a little bit more. But like I said, like even in Skyrim, you don't really get huge world interaction things, like, you know, where the actual characters start messing around and showing up and things happen for a bit in the game. It kind of lets you get more acclimated to it, and it's kind of like a build-up. I would assume that in some worlds there's a lot more activity. Got 75 so far. What the hell is this thing? Water! Yeah, found water in the form of a rock, apparently. How do we get this? Oh. Do I need a container to put it in? Potentially? Argon. Hey, we got some argon. And argon's a gas, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to collect any of this. Oh, extreme heat. Okay. Protection regen, interesting. Okay. So we have environmental protections, kind of like in No Man's Sky. So we can't collect everything. We need certain tools to collect some of the stuff. Which is, yeah, it's kind of what you might expect. With some more of a, like a game like this bent towards more realism. What's this? Silver. Hey, we scanned it, finally. Biome complete. Damn it. That means we have to go to a different biome to find this other plant that we need to scan. And I'm guessing that a biome is this area, so in other words, this area does not have, and we cannot get to the another area that has these other plants. It's like a thing where we have to go to a different part of the planet, I think, right? Because I'm pretty sure at this point that we don't have freedom of movement, right? I mean, it's a very wide linear map, but it's not open world. Not in like the Skyrim sense. Like I think eventually we'd hit a point where we couldn't go any further. Would be my guess. What am I locking onto over here? Or is this thing? I guess this is that thing. I'm kind of heading down over this way because again I want to just go somewhere and not do what the game tells me to do. Because that's where we can see what kind of game we got, really. What's this? More argon down there? More iron. I have a feeling we got some enemies down there. Oh cool, we got a ammo count over there. So we can visually see how much ammo we have on the gun itself. Oh, what the hell is this thing? Crete Stalker.
I believe the enemy is nearby.
You don't say. What are these guys doing? Oh wow, they have health bars.
Often yells, pew, pew, pew.
Oh god.
Not sure why.
So these guys can hide in the ground. And they have, mining sinkhole? Whatever that means. Whoa, hello.
Pain, but I hear it is terrible.
Can they sneak around behind you? Is that what this is doing?
I am aiming for your center of mass. Eradicated all nearby enemies.
What the hell? There's some hilarity there from the fact that the ragdolls go all over the place. So this is interesting. So the initial interaction with those enemies was pretty bad there. They weren't doing anything really. But then they kind of turned around and started coming after us, so that's your general typical kind of Bethesda AI stuff going on there. What's this? Frag grenade. Nice, we have grenades now. Whoa.
Beginning combat protocol.
Oh, 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 what's going on here? And that one didn't have the extra health bars. Wait, there's another one somewhere? Oh, there it is.
Violence significantly decreases one's life expectancy.
You know what I'm saying? Where the hell is this thing? Getting around these rock piles is kind of annoying as hell because you get stuck on things and can't jump.
You appear to be prioritizing our deaths over your own survival.
I didn't catch what he said. Something about prioritizing something over survival. I don't know. He's talking to the enemy, I think. Where even is this thing at? Oh wait, is this it? Yeah, that was it, okay. It's kind of annoying that these enemies aren't easily fightable. Like, they just like pop in and down and go all over the place. And you can't track them easily. An orange. So there was a mining thing down here. Ah, so it's like a cave, okay. We have a miner. Well, used to be. Oh, hello. Oh, I have no ammunition anymore. It's out of range of my makeshift weapon here. Whoa, I think this came out of the sky.
In combat, there is a high likelihood of human death. The enemy has dropped out of our view. Enemy activity detected at close range. It is a shame exploration requires so much bloodshed.
Like, how do I get to this guy when he's under the ground? How do I use grenades? Fragmentation mine, grenade. Ah, it is G, okay. You have to be really close for this thing to actually hit.
Peace is no longer
Oh, so the things I picked up aren't actually for this weapon.
Please,
Alien
avoid
jerky.
getting shot. You might die.
So, okay, I see why that's on hold, is because single tap is the scanner. There's something to be said about games getting so complex that they become... What the hell is this thing? That they become illogical in their control schemes. And I think we're kind of getting to that point now. Where, like, we have to have contextual key bindings for game mechanic systems as opposed to, like, interactions. Like, if I hold down F, I turn on the flashlight. If I tap F, I turn on a scanner. It's like, why is that even a thing? Keyboards have, you know, 70-something keys on them. Figure out the mappings. I mean, you know, the argument is, well, you can do that yourself. The counter-argument is, I shouldn't have to. That's what the devs should be doing. What the hell is this? Terrafluoride vent. Neon vent. This stuff reminds me of oh, what's that place called? This is the Dwemer Cave system, Black Reach or something like that, with like these blue mushrooms all over the place and stuff. That's what this kind of reminds me of. I have to get back to my Skyrim playthrough when I get back to streaming. Oh hey, more lights with no light source. A carrot! You found Goku. Thermostat? Or thermos? What's this? So was that not part of the resources that we were supposed to be looking for? Let me go back and scan these other ones. Yeah, it's not on this list, resource list. Silver. Is that what's all that's down here? Creature pile. Guess that's all that was in here. Actually, maybe not. There might be some more. It's just we gotta figure out how to get to it. Potentially. Well, that certainly didn't work. If there is full damage, it seems to not be. It seems to take quite a bit to actually trigger it, so that's kind of good. The fact that jump doesn't always execute is stupid annoying. And I have no clue why it doesn't before, but Like right there, I was hitting, I was like almost spamming jump and it wasn't doing a damn thing. Like right there, that jump did not do anything. Like, I wonder if there's like unique resources in some places that you have to try and jump to find. I missed that one. And now we're down at the bottom. Good. Did we come down this way? I think we did. Yeah, there's the light source back here. It's not really a light source. I think we've gone through this entire place. Whoa. There's some massive hitch in there. I will say my system's running pretty hot at the moment. We got 76 on the CPU, we got 79 on GPU. This thing's never run that hot before, during anything I've done. So that means that this game is utilizing the resources of the system pretty well. That said, the load isn't that high, so I'm not sure why the temperatures are so high. Like, I'm only using 50% load on the CPU and like 8%, 6% load on the GPU, so I'm not sure why they're consuming so much heat, or making so much heat. Alright, where are we at? We're at about 2 hours. We'll go a little bit longer. I want to give this game a little bit more time. So far, the one thing I don't really like so much is that, we got another type of thing down here, is that ammo seems to be very scarce for the weapons that you normally would have right now, right? They're picking up all this ammo that doesn't work with the guns that we have, which is not good level design. And this thing only works from a certain range, even though it seems like it should work from further away. Vital fluids. So it seems like the cutter here is supposed to be our main weapon. That's what it seems like, anyway. All kinds of guys around down here. These are those grazers. I think they're non-hostile enemies. As opposed to the Stalkers that are hostile. I wonder what determines whether a Stalker has multiple bars of health. That's like the most interesting thing I've seen so far, is that there's some Stalkers with 3 bars of health you have to work your way through. It's gonna wind turbines. Can't destroy them. I guess the compass is at the bottom left. Okay. We don't have like a top of screen compass. So if you're wondering what my comment about ammo is, the way that you should develop a game, if you're going to have multiple weapons with ammo that you pick up, is that whatever weapons you would normally find in a particular area, and since this is an area-based game, not an open-world game, this is even more important, that in the area that you have that player in, that the weapons that the enemies have, you have that ammo type available to be found, right? Sure, you can pick up the weapons off the enemies when you kill them, but what if the enemies don't use those weapons, right? We're fighting a bunch of bugs right now. They don't use weapons. So where do we get the ammo from to fight these bugs with? Answer is we don't, because they don't have that ammo laying around in caches and stuff. So this is a lack of foresight and of problem solving, not problem solving, of predictive thinking, right? Like saying, well, we have our character here fighting all these non-human enemies with no weapons. We have all these human enemies for them to fight as well. And we give them this shitty weapon that's not really a weapon, but they can use it as a weapon. And that should be good. Nope. You should be giving us ammo that fits the guns that we have obtained. What was that thing we just locked onto somewhere? This is Vasco. And we should be able to find that ammo around this area. And the reason that's like that for is because Bethesda is making a game that they don't normally make. This is not a general, usual type of game that Bethesda makes. This isn't the kind of game they made for the last 20 years. So they don't... I don't know if they don't know to think about it or if they dismissed the problem entirely. My guess is that they dismissed it as a problem because it's not been a problem for them before, right? Problem is, this is not your average Bethesda game. This is not an open world game where you can find whatever you want to. And you have weapons that have ammo agnostication, meaning you can fire any kind of arrow from a bow. Swords don't have bullets. So like in Skyrim, in the case of Skyrim, you know, no problem there. Fallout generally is a bit more well-designed, I would say, in terms of like finding ammo and stuff like that. It's clear that they did not think about how different this game is from the usual type of game they make and plan accordingly, though, in terms of like ammo and stuff you can find like that. Which is unfortunate because that's going to be a problem later on when ammo becomes super important. Because ammo's not really important right now. Ammo's going to be really important later on in the game, though. So when you get to those points where it's like you need to have these weapons to survive because this stupid laser thing isn't going to do much for you. Obviously, there's probably going to be some melee weapons, but they're probably going to be pretty weak because the game seems to be focused on gunplay, not on multi-faceted combat. At least so far from what I've seen. Would have been a nice place to put some ammo, Bethesda. Come on, you're just gonna put this thing here and have nothing be in there.
Of smaller, independent pirate crews, all flying under the same banner. They are typically unscrupulous and violent.
Let's see if we can find anything out here. There's a lot of just random shite around. Might be a container or something we can get some ammo from. I mean, the point of interest sort of design is very much present here, so if you're familiar with Bethesda games, you're going to be familiar with that sort of mechanic where areas that are kind of higher importance are going to be really interestingly built, and the areas surrounding them and further out are going to be very drab. That's, yeah, it's a traditional classic Bethesda style mapping. And the reason they have to do it that way is because, you know, Bethesda usually makes pretty large environments, and if you didn't do that way, you would destroy computers, because no computer around can play a game that's this detailed, like as far as this type of detail is. There's no computer that you have in existence now or in any sort of future where if there was stuff like this across the entire planet, you'd be able to play that game. Your computer would explode. Or at the very least, you'd burn something out. You know, I could do without the Bethesda throw all this useless crap around that's, you know, interactable. If we could get, you know, better drops, better loot, right? Like, do we really have to have a succulent here? Do we really have to have sandwiches? Can we just, like, have actual useful shit? Instead of all this useless stuff that's cluttering up maps and consuming resources. I mean, it's part of what makes Bethesda games, but at the same time, when you get to, you know, where we're at in terms of graphic quality and stuff like that, it becomes, you know, it becomes a lot harder for systems to run these kinds of games. Because now you get these highly detailed, you know, models all over the place that are just kind of, there's no real practical use for them. It's about consuming resources.
Curious. These are United Colonies markings, but we are in Freestar Collective space. It then stands to reason that this was once a secret UC facility.
I finally picked up fracking ammunition. Was that Digipick thing a lockpick? Space lockpick? I think it was. Oh, we have a book. The books. The Bethesda book system is here. And actually has a number of pages too, interesting. Omega the Last Days. Following is an opening of Camille Flammarion's 1894 work, Omega. Oh, god, yeah. I'm going to, yes, we're going to take the book. We have a cube. A hammer. Empty chunks packeting. Notebook. One of my main goals in playing Skyrim is to pick up every book and take it to, so I never play Skyrim anymore without the Leveler's Tower mod, which adds in a custom player house, essentially. And it has this massive, bad jokes too. It has this massive library in it. And so one of my goals when I play Skyrim is to get as many books as possible, fill up the library. I've gotten it half full before, which is pretty nuts. Because there's, like, literally probably thousands of spaces for books. If not more. Whoa. What the hell? The frack was that thing? You guys got a bit of a problem over here, no? I'm gonna get that looked at. That seems like the kind of thing that can become a problem if not addressed. It's got random stuff bursting out of pods. Now, and I also have no ammo anymore, so yeah. We're back to the good old mining laser. This game sucks at ammo dropping. I'm just gonna say it right now. This game has horrible ammo pacing, if you will. I wish you could just pick it up without actually having to open the thing up. Of all the things that you do in this game, why not just be able to do that? Hey, more bullets. What do you know? I'll take those sample bottles. Could possibly go wrong. Cred stick. What is this? Star, oh god, what's the name of that game? Starfinder. You got cred sticks in Starfinder too. Vasco doing his best Five Nights at Freddy's impression over there. So I wonder if this place is abandoned for a reason. That seems like it'd be flammable. Chicken. Yeah, found space chicken. Pirate. Oh, I finally found somebody. Well, this should be fun. Get rid of these up in there, Vasco. What the hell are you doing? Yeah, I can do that too, buddy. Nice. The old Bethesda jank there. I'm stuck in the model. Now we're getting some ammo finally. Drink your dreams. Boom pop. Oh, we got plenty of ammo for this now. Cool. Milk. Yeah, I don't know if I would drink milk that's been sitting next to a shitter. Seems a pretty sus thing to do. O2 is consumed with exertion, switching melee attacks and jumping. Terramorph. What the hell's a terramorph? I have computers. Interesting. So we got some Fallout style stuff there. Safe. Fill in all open slots on every layer to open the lock. Select a key, rotate it until it lines up with the gaps in security layer. Slot key fill. Won't be used once. I see. So how do I change? Yeah, that was the right choice. All that for... Oh, we got some ammo for the pistol. Okay, so that's lockpicking in this game, I guess. Digipicks. Ramen. What's this? Blue lab outfit. New armor, apparently. Let's go, you're in the way, damn it.
You will not be able to walk at full speed with your pack that full.
Oh, we're getting close to carry weight limit, okay.
Wait, what was that?
That was a grenade blown up. Is this a terramorph? What the hell? Whoa. Okay.
You were trying to kill me, but I am not technically alive.
Solid logic there, I guess. Got one of them, I guess.
Violence significantly decreases one's life expectancy.
Where'd the other guy go?
I do not feel pain, but I hear it is terrible.
The hell? Marshmallow treat cereal? Oh, I don't think so.
You got a death wish? You
Where's this guy at? I can hear him, but I can't see him.
Listen up. Someone's trying to kill our school. Hold them off here while Brogan sits up on the roof. I'm on it. No one's getting through.
Where the hell?
Take you apart.
Okay. Is there somebody else around? I think I was talking on radio, that's what I was doing. Okay. Oh, we got plenty of ammo now because we're picking up off of these guys. I thought there was another enemy up here that we killed. Maybe not. So I wonder what this place used to be. Some kind of biolab? Oh, this is locked. Some kind of, there's a terminal in here. We got a safe too. That doesn't seem right? Yeah, no, that was way too easy to have that one be there. Explorer's Solstice, a weapon. Laser pistol. And Nicholas Nickleby? Book. So I think we picked up a couple new weapons here. What do we got? Anti-personnel modified. It's like this one's probably a stronger version of what we have. So I'm actually go ahead and bookmark this on to 3. Rattler. Does it say the type of ammo it takes? Oh, there it is, .27 cal. Is that the same as the pistol? No, that's 7.77 millimeter. Explorer's Solstice. Let's see how this works. So I'm guessing whatever's in here is what we were looking for. Stuff in there. I'm not gonna go reading through all that.
This one's mine. Move up. I'm going for it. Oh, we ain't done yet. Watch out!
Oh, it came in from behind.
Prioritizing your deaths over your own survival.
Oh, that's what I said. Your deaths over your own survival. Okay. Where'd these guys run off to? What? Where the hell? Oh, they're back over here.
Center of mass.
That was weird. Where'd the other one go? There were two, right? Oh.
Please.
We have a
avoid
camper.
Getting shot. You might die.
Please avoid getting shot, you might die. Easier said than done when you got guys sitting around freaking corners waiting to shoot you in the ass. Interesting. Okay, so there's an O2 CO2 thing going on here. So if you move around too much, you'll build up CO2 and probably die, I would assume. That's interesting, okay. I didn't know how that meter down there was actually working. What the heck? Graduated cylinder. Kidney dish. I'll complete this area, then we'll rate it. I was gonna stop at a little bit ago, but we're in the middle of this now. Might as well finish it. Is there anything I can do to deal with this O2 thing? I guess is no. Just have to kind of sit here. Let the O2 regen. So it seems like the lower the O2 is in the gauge, the more rapidly it decreases. Oh, not quite. Oh, I think I screwed this up. Did I just screw up again? I think I did. This one's kind of difficult, actually. There we go. Oh, we got more for the laser pistol. Galvanized. Oh, there's a helmet there. Oh, an epic item. We're gonna wear that shit.
I'm detecting a safe nearby. We could make use of whatever is inside, provided you had some digipics. And
one of those things. Bolts. And we got scavenging. Don't know what that does, but... Oh, I didn't need to pick that up. What the hell? We could... Okay, well, we have a heart. So, new area here. I picked up something. I think it was, I don't know what it was. Oh, it's a, shotgun. Okay. Game's like, hey, you might need this shotgun. Double barrel.
You gotta be kidding me. The
Brogan.
Frontier has a new captain? You working with Barret, or did you pry the ship keys out of his cold, dead hands?
Why? I killed.
Oh, this'll be fun.
Captain, Protocol Indigo dictates that I am to return to the Lodge with no deviations. We are here to stop the Crimson Fleet from pursuit. Nothing more.
That might be your goal. Wait, don't I have gun? What happened to my grenades? I don't have any more. Okay. Damage resistance for some time. Oh, there we go. Why did what did it say danger for? Okay, this guy's AI is broken.
Area has ceased.
That guy's right down there. He's definitely stuck down there. Whoa, 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 whoa.
It would be.
Wait, is that a what I think it is? I think that's what I think it is. Oh, no, it's not. I thought it was a sniper.
Advisable. Find. Injury received. It is a shame exploration requires so much.
I got tons of ammo here.
Combat. Barret often yells, pew, pew, pew. I am not sure.
Pew pew pew. Where'd that one guy that was running over here go? Okay, this is kind of nuts. How the hell can they shoot me from so far away? Granted, their aim is really bad, but I mean, they're just sitting over there. Nah, it's almost no way to hit those guys. Whoa, I almost jumped off the edge there.
I understand. You wish to kill us into your domains.
I have the high ground, Brogan. Crap. I also have the no ammo. Apparently.
You are trying to kill me. I am not technically alive. Peace is no longer a viable option.
Peace is no longer an option. This thing has memes. Nope. Okay, so now I gotta deal with your lackeys over there. Crap. Okay. That's one. That's our. That's Vasco there. Thought that was one of theirs.
These criminals really should be incarcerated.
We're incarcerating him permanently. Alright, are there any more of them? I don't think so. Used up all that ammo. So we took this guy out, we got a couple things. Fast travel back to your ship. Press F. So there's not like any kind of boss chest anywhere? So, push F, and then, what do we do? Ah. Oh, I can't try. I have too much shit. Okay. I need to drop some stuff, apparently. So what can I, how do we drop? R? How do we see our carry weight? 135. We are so overweight, what the hell? I have 11 maelstorms. It's almost weightless though. That'll be enough. Okay. Let's go ahead and rate this thing.
To reach the lodge, we must jump to the planet Jemison in the Alpha Centauri system, and then land in the city of New Atlantis. Do not worry, this will all become second nature before too long.
It's down to the seat here. Okay. Camera off. So, Starfield. So this is again, just kind of restate, this is a character RPG action sort of game. Bethesda game, so a lot of the Bethesda-isms you can expect to find in a Bethesda game rare. So let's start with the gameplay mechanics and design. So overall, the gameplay mechanics and design are Bethesda-styled game mechanics. Except for a couple things, which we'll go over here. So let's start with the things I really find annoying. All the hold to do action buttons, and then all the ones that have separate functions tied to single press key presses. If you're having to do that with your control scheme, well, you know why it's like that? I can tell you why it's like that. It's because they designed the control scheme for a controller, because this game is designed primarily for console, for Xbox. So we've got some controller design leaking into the PC version of the game, because that's just how it was built, which is, I guess, fine, but at the same time, it's super annoying that, you know, on a device that has a bajillion keys, that we're still being limited to the central control scheme of a controller. You know, all these hold to do thing versus press to do things should all be mapped to individual keys. There definitely seems to be a thing in the tutorial for this game where it's, if you haven't seen the tutorial for it yet, you can't do the thing. Like, there's no way to get the inventory as far as I know. Flashlight, maybe that would work. There's nothing that tells you that is, oh, that actually has this. Nice. This is also in a lot of Bethesda games where if you wait long enough, it'll just rotate the camera. There's nothing that indicates that you have to hold down the F key to light the flashlight, right, until you get the tutorial. Which is kind of weird because I think it should be the other way around. Scanner should be on hold, flashlight should be on passive F, because that's how the flashlight works in almost every game that has one. You push the F key to turn it on. You don't hold the key. So, there's that. In terms of level design, this area looks better. Like these lights up here actually have illuminating textures. In the mine you were in, it looked very unpolished. I guess it's more level design. Let's hold off on that. Game mechanics here we're talking about. So in terms of combat, the game feels very Fallout in terms of combat versus Skyrim. So Skyrim, the gunplay feels very Fallout. The way that the AI fights against you is hit or miss. A lot of the time the AI kind of sucks, but sometimes they do some really interesting things. Again, that is quintessentially Bethesda style gameplay, right? Is that kind of thing. In terms of like the inventory system, pretty much standard Bethesda systems. You got a carry weight system that determines whether you can move quickly and or fast travel and stuff like that. There's lots of things to find and pick up and interact with, which is again usual Bethesda kind of stuff. There's an interesting stamina system where you have an O2 gauge, and as it drops down you start dropping it faster, and then CO2 builds up unless you stand still for a while. So it's kind of an interesting stamina system that you don't normally... Well, actually, I guess still, yeah. Bethesda games do have stamina systems. This is a little bit different one, though. This isn't like your traditional Skyrim stamina, where it's like, you know, you can't do actions. This one seems like it has negative consequences. Like, if you build up CO2 all the way, you probably take damage or something like that. So there's a little bit more to that in this one. In terms of like how you move through the game world, the game is not open world at all. It is a Bethesda style game in terms of, I would say it's closer to Fallout than Skyrim. Skyrim has a lot of open terrain. It's more like Fallout, where you have some pretty large wide linear areas that are large scale but are not open world. You do probably have boundaries around them at some point. And then you have a lot of individual specific locations that have multiple areas within them, like we were just in the lab. So this is not an open world game. This is not a Skyrim in space. This is more of a Fallout in space in terms of like the level design and such, and how that stuff works. Same thing in space. You don't have freedom of movement. You are in an area of space. And then to get to new locations, you have to go through the star map. One thing that was interesting about the space stuff was that you actually can choose how the systems are set up. So like you can change the power allocation to different systems to enhance certain things, or if you don't need certain things at that point in time, you can draw them down and put that power somewhere else that's more needed. The problem with that is that that system is not usable during combat. In terms of like, you're not able to physically actually do anything with that system while you're in combat, depending on how many enemies you have. If you got one enemy, then maybe you could fiddle around with it while you're fighting. But if you got more than two or more enemies, chances are you're not going to have enough time to hold down the left shift or left alt key and then fiddle around with the WASD keys to mess around with it. I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know what the best implementation of that system would be in order to allow you to like more easily work with that stuff. Maybe that if you hold down the left alt key, it puts you into a slow down time mode, so you can actually interact with it in a reasonable amount of time and not get your ass blown out of the sky. But it's an interesting thing, right? It's a really interesting concept. I don't know of any game off the top of my head that has something similar. If I had to guess, I would say maybe Elite Dangerous, maybe Star Citizen might have those kinds of mechanics. But I can't think of any other games off the top of my head, other than those potentially, that I know for sure have it. A system like that. So that was kind of interesting. Space combat is, it's okay, it's not the best, but space combat's usually really janky in most games. Because it basically amounts to dogfighting. Dogfighting space combat is kind of annoying to me, to be honest. Because it amounts to you just essentially going a certain distance, turning around and heading straight at the enemy, or heading straight at you. There's not much you can do in terms of like dealing with missiles and stuff like that. I find like in Chorus, PS5 game I played a while ago. I say a while ago, but it was for this season, Season 1. But it was a while ago for Season 1. The combat in that game is really good because the ships have interesting movement. In this game, the ships have just generic ship movement that you normally see in any kind of generic space game. You don't have any interesting like drifting or like ways to maneuver around. It's just very, you know, standard sort of bland space combat. Which is unfortunate because I think they had a chance to make that really interesting. And they went for more realism, more realistic than actually fun. Not to say it's not fun, but I can see at some point it being not fun because it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. You got from based on the showcase they had back a little while ago. There seems to be some ways of boarding enemy ships, and that might break up some of the monotony a bit. But in terms of ship combat, unless there's something to give you some crazy mobility, I don't see it becoming more interesting over time. I see it becoming less interesting, unless you have like different types of weapons you can use that have different types of effects. So they're not just like shooting off lasers or like shooting off beam, like multi-beam cannons or something, you know? It's something that gives you a little more fantastical sort of combat experience. So, in terms of combat, feels very Bethesda-y. For the gun combat. For the space combat, it feels very generic space gamey kind of space combat so far. So overall, in terms of game design and game mechanics, I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. So far. There are signs of life that it could get better, but there's also potentially signs that it may stay where it's at or even get worse. I know Bethesda games can get very challenged as you get further in and unlock more mechanics. Things can start breaking down in terms of like the gameplay loops and stuff. It's a very Bethesda problem because of the way that they do their open worlds, and it seems like they designed this game to be like their open world games while not being open world, so there's issues with that. We'll talk about that in one moment. So art design, which includes the UI and level design. Let's start with the art. Things look pretty good. Oh, and also for the I'm gonna knock it down to 6.5 because the graphics settings don't work on PC. So 6.5. I almost forgot about that. That's a huge problem because when you don't have the ability to set your resolution to the resolution when you're forced to use your desktop resolution in full screen, that means you can't downscale the game to the proper resolution you want to have to make the FPS what you want. And you're stuck with using all these other settings that are available. And because all those settings are broken on PC and don't do a damn thing, you have really trash performance, as you can see what's happening now in the video. So yeah, definitely a problem. Alright, back so art design wise, everything looks pretty good. I haven't seen any bad textures yet, so they did a pretty good job there. In terms of the style, everything looks kind of what it should. You know, there's nothing that doesn't look like it's from this time period so far. Everything looks like it's been designed in such a way that makes sense within the context of the lore for the world and whatnot. We haven't seen super high-tech looking stuff yet, but I think that's because you don't get to that point till like later in the game, probably. Like you're starting out with like in a very kind of sparsely populated sector of the galaxy, and there's, you know, it's more of like, you know, kind of the old west sort of in space vibes, right? Where it's like really run down facilities and ships, compared to probably what would exist in other parts of the game. And then as you progress through the game, you see more and more highly advanced technology kind of things. So in terms of art design, pretty good job. In terms of art direction, pretty good job. Now, level design. So, as I was starting to say earlier, this game feels like it's a Bethesda game pretending it's something it's not, which is a traditional Bethesda game. It's trying, the way that things seem like they're designed at the moment, like in terms of like the ammo drops and stuff like that, finding ammo out in the world that you can actually use. It seems like they've designed how the drops and things and item caches you can find to work. They can find are populated with stuff based on the idea that it's still an open world game, so you will be able to find all kinds of ammo that you may or may not be able to use, right? But this is an open world. This is probably not an open world game. This is probably some kind of large wide linear areas mixed with more linear and more kind of narrow linear areas for points of interest, kind of like in Fallout, how Fallout works with its levels. So when you have that kind of system, you run into problems when you're not appropriately doling out ammunition, right? When you have guns and only guns. We don't have melee weapons yet. Melee weapon combat probably isn't going to be good in this game because everybody has guns. So, unless you want to play a guy that takes a sword to a gunfight all the time, you're probably using guns most of the time. Now, if you're fighting humans, or things that have guns as weapons, that's fine, because you can pick up the bullets from those guys and use their weapons, and you'll have that ammunition to use. If you're fighting things that don't use guns, like alien creatures, and you run out of ammo, you're left with a dinky cutter weapon that has a really crap range and really crap damage. So it doesn't feel like they did what they needed to do to make this game easy to play unless you're doing a specific thing, right? Like, the game seems to be focused on human-to-human combat on missions, and when you're out just exploring around, it seems like the design of the game falls apart. The design of the levels falls apart because you can't find what you need to actually play the game, which is unfortunate. In addition to that, one thing on I forgot to mention in game mechanics, scanning for things on planets takes way too long. We shouldn't have to find like 10 or 12 particular items to finish scanning something. It should be at max 5. I think it took me like 7 or 8 of those root tree things to get that fully scanned. That's too many. Ideally, it should be just maybe 1 to 3, not even up to 5, but that doesn't feel like that was well thought out in terms of like the amount that you need to do. But nice level design. So, in general, the maps are, at least the ones that we've seen so far, are fairly empty. You'll have some enemies every once in a while. You have specific points of interest that can be actual like levels themselves, or have areas near them, like that one mining cave we found. Or they could just be things out in the world that are structures that maybe have some stuff around them. But overall, there's not many things around. It's just a lot of empty terrain so far. Again, we're on like a moon or something, so maybe it makes sense because it's not going to be that highly populated. Maybe once you get to a more highly populated planet, there'll be a bit more things to go and look at. So level design's okay so far. There potentially are some problems, but it's nothing that's unmanageable yet. Later on in the game, it might get unmanageable towards like the later part of the game, potentially. For now, it's okay for now. UI, for the UI, the general UI, like for the heads-up display as you're going around, is fine. I haven't really run into anything I can complain about too much. No, yeah, I think the UI is pretty standard UI. Nothing amazing about it. One thing I will say, though, is that... Well, no, I guess it makes sense, too. Like the weapon wheel and stuff like that. No, yeah, I think it's pretty standard Bethesda UI. They usually do a pretty good job with UI. Nothing real different here. In terms of, like, that aspect of it, they did a pretty good job with this one. So for art design, I'll give Starfield an 8 out of 10. Sound, audio. So in terms of the audio for the game, the voiceovers sound pretty good. Yeah, the audio was mixed pretty well. You can't tell it was like recorded in a booth. It sounds like you're actually at the place they're recording it. The voice acting quality is good. The diction of some of the dialogue is a little bit weird. Maybe that's like intentional, I'm not sure. Sound effects are generally good. I don't think I've heard anything that's been too bad so far. And the general game audio is pretty good too. There's not really much else to say other than that. I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10. Story. So far for story, we are a person that was on a mining asteroid or a mining moon. We're part of a mining group. We found this weird artifact, and because we found this weird artifact and saw something, we've been drafted to join this thing called Constellation. And apparently, by joining Constellation, we'll find out more about what we saw and what we found as we play through the game. And that's pretty much all we really know at this point. About 3-ish hours in. Actually, more like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I think, probably in. There was kind of a hook with the whole, you know, future vision, Mass Effect style kind of thing. But the game hasn't hooked me yet. Not like Skyrim did. Like, Skyrim pulled me in almost immediately. Fallout 3 and 4 pulled me in pretty quick. This game hasn't pulled me in all the way yet. So they just need to see where the story goes. But I do know that stories for Bethesda usually take a while to kind of get going. They do a pretty slow burn to start with. So, we'll see. So far, though, for the story, and in terms of like the pacing, the writing quality, the structure, and how things are going, it's pretty good. Usual quality Bethesda story so far, in terms of how everything's going with it. So yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 so far. So, overall, Starfield is a pretty good game. It has some issues here and there. We kind of knew that the combat wasn't going to be the best, just because the stuff that they showed off at each of the directs and shows and whatnot, there was always visible problems with the enemy AI, and that's just a problem with Bethesda's AI in general. It always has issues in all of their games. So I was coming into this thinking that was going to be the case, and it was. We haven't really seen any situations where AI where the NPCs have been clipping through things. Actually, I take that back. We did have the one space pirate that we killed that got phased into the vending machine. So there is some of that jank there. I think I'm pretty sure if you were keeping track of all the things we talked about before, you probably hit all of them at some point. So this is definitely a Bethesda's game, or a Bethesda game through and through. However you want to put that. I will say though, one thing that's interesting, because I don't think this happened before, that the actual graphic settings on the PC don't do anything apparently, or they do very minor changes that don't affect performance, or the game's performance is so locked to, or so impacted by other things that changing the graphics options literally does nothing. I put this game on maximum settings, full render quality, and it ran just as well as it did with everything set to low. That's not something that should happen. So there's definitely some kind of performance issues going on with this game that Bethesda will have to address at some point. It's either that or the graphics options don't work, which is equally as bad. It's one of the two. One thing that's interesting is that I'm not sure why, but like the game isn't pushing my system very hard, but at the same time, my stuff is like high temperatures. Like my CPU is sitting at 73C right now, which is higher than it hits when I'm rendering things. Actually, I shouldn't say that, but it's about where I'm at when I'm rendering video. It's actually almost 74C. And my GPU is sitting at about 60, with the fans on full on that. Which, usually it doesn't hit that high. I think the max I've seen on most games I've been playing recently has been like around, 48 to 52. So, and the load isn't that high either. I'm only at 13% load, which is what's kind of weird about it, right? At least with the CPU being on half load, it kind of makes a little bit of sense there, but I don't know. The game Starfield definitely uses multiple threads though, because it is generating a lot of heat on the CPU, which means it's using multiple cores. A lot of games aren't multi-cored, multi-threaded. They'll have like one main world thread, maybe some kind of quasi multi-threading, but I think Starfield actually has literal multi-threading. Because when I killed off some of the cores for it to give it to OBS earlier to try and solve this performance thing, it actually made the game get really choppy. So it is using all the cores, I believe. But yeah, overall, things are the way I expected them to be, pretty much. One thing that wasn't, though, is that the game is very limited in terms of of exploration. Areas seem to be pretty large, but at the same time, like I said, I'm pretty damn sure because of how it was showing biome completed or completed in biome, whatever it was, when we had scanned that one plant on the planet, that you have a large area, probably something like 2 square kilometers or something, and then it's essentially going to be walled off, or you're going to not be able to go outside of that area. So the game is not open world. Space isn't even open world. You can't fly from area to area. You have to jump, but you have, again, a large area in space that you can travel around in. So the game is not as open as Microsoft and Bethesda let it on people it would be. It's very much more limited. It's more limited than Fallout and Skyrim, to be honest. Definitely more than Skyrim. Skyrim is literally open world. Fallout is generally open world with some more kind of wide linear sections here and there. This game feels like it's a step down from those in terms of the scale of the environments. Which I think is probably a symptom of the fact that this game is being released on the Series S. I said it before and I'll say it again, the Series S is holding back Microsoft from actually making good games. Well, I shouldn't say that. They are good games, but for making games better than they can otherwise be, because the S doesn't have the same system specs as an X does. So the S is holding things back a little bit, which is how it always goes. When you have like mid-generation refreshes like PS4 Pro, games that were made to run on the PS4 Pro had a harder time running on the original PS4 because the PS4 Pro had higher specs, somewhat. So when you add in different SKUs of consoles, you limit what you can do with your potential. Limit your potential with the games that you make, because you have to develop to the lowest performance SKU of console. If you don't, then you have this thing where you have a game that will run on one console but not on the other one, and now you split your user base, which is something you never want to do. So Microsoft has this policy in place where they demand that in order to release anything on Xbox, you have to develop it to work on the S. first and foremost, and then it has to have all the same features it would otherwise have on the X in order to make it into the Xbox ecosystem. Really bad policy. It's going to be holding back games that Microsoft makes. I get why they did it, because they wanted a lower entry point for a console for some people, but at the same time, they're going to suffer for it. So there's trade-offs. I think Starfield could have been a lot better if the S didn't exist, and Bethesda was allowed to do more than I think they could do because of that. But overall, I'm going to give Starfield a 7.5 out of 10. For the PC version. You know, your mods may vary on other versions of the game, but in the PC version, there's some pretty serious problems. Performance is pretty bad in terms of that even at low settings, the game still has like a 10 to 20% drop in frame rate. Turning on everything to low doesn't change that. So it seems like the graphics settings are broken or don't work properly, at the very least. AI is what you would expect from Bethesda AI. Level design's pretty much Bethesda level design, but not... It's Bethesda's usual level design, but without the usual Bethesda levels. So there's some problems that arise from that. Story's kind of interesting, but it hasn't really hooked me yet. And in terms of everything else, you know, art, design, audio is all pretty good. So this is an okay game. I definitely think that the Xbox, well, technically yeah, Xbox, but the Xbox fans on Twitter overhyped this game to holy hell. I mean, you could find all kinds of tweets of people saying, "Oh, this is going to be the game of the year, game of the generation, game of the decade, best game ever released, yada yada yada." It's not that. It's a typical Bethesda game. It's pretty good, you know, being a Bethesda game, it's really good, but in terms of Bethesda games specifically, it's kind of towards the middle to bottom of the Bethesda games, I think, in terms of how good it is. In terms of gaming in general, it's pretty good. So, let me do a thought experiment here. So, I'm going to rate this game 7 out of 5 in general, overall, like as a game against other games. Now I'm going to rate this game against other Bethesda games. So it's not going to be the same kind of scoring system. We're going to essentially be comparing this to Fallout 3, 4, Skyrim. So if Skyrim is a 9, and if Fallout 4 is a 7, and if Fallout 3 is a 8.5, if Fallout New Vegas is a 8.5, maybe 9, then Starfield has to be 6.5 compared to those other Bethesda games. They took a chance and did something outside of their usual comfort zone, and there are some problems with the game that are obvious because of that. At least so far at the beginning. Maybe they get corrected as you go further in. I think it gets worse as you go further in because things become more hectic. You get more powerful enemies and more powerful human enemies, more powerful, alien enemies and stuff out in the world as well. And, the cutter is eventually not going to cut it anymore. Because you're doing 2 damage against something that has like thousands of points of health. You're doing 2 damage every so many seconds, or 2 damage every so many tenths of a second. You're going to run into problems trying to fight some enemy like that, right? So I think that the way they have the ammo stuff set up is going to be a problem. At least until we get some melee weapons, and we have some good melee weapons too. But even then, this game seems to be focused on ranged combat, not on melee combat so far. So I'm not sure how good that stuff would be. So in terms of a Bethesda game, I think this is okay. It's kind of right in the middle of being okay and being mediocre. In terms of a game against all other games that are out there at the moment, I'd say it's a pretty good game. So, yeah. Bethesda connoisseurs are going to find a lot of stuff that they love. They're going to find a lot of weird things that are not common or not typical in Bethesda games. They're going to find a lot of really interesting choices that are kind of antithetical to what Bethesda usually has done in the past. And people that haven't played Bethesda games before are going to find a lot of weird stuff, because you know, you really have never experienced a Bethesda game until you played one, because no game is quite like a Bethesda game. There's a reason Bethesda is called Bugthesda, by people that have played their games for quite a while. This game, I would say, in terms of that aspect, this game doesn't seem as buggy as your usual Bethesda game is. But that could just be because I haven't played enough of it yet, and it could also be because there's other things that are preventing the other bugs from showing up. Like maybe some performance-related things that pop up eventually when we get the frame rate fixed. Maybe, you know, graphics things or whatever, or physics things or something. I don't know. But so far, it's definitely not as buggy as like Skyrim was when it came out. It's definitely not as buggy as, you know, Fallout 4 when it came out. So they did actually do a little extra QA on this. I will give them props for that. But definitely feels like a Bethesda-ass Bethesda game. Otherwise. Yeah, cool. So, thanks for watching. Comments, questions, link below. And I will catch you guys for the next one of these. And we will go from there.